Hi friends, I'm Victoria. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today we have my October wrap up. October was a pretty darn good reading month. I read 15 books and most of them were for spooky season and just fit within this season. I love Halloween reading. It's the best time to read. I think a lot of you agree. So I had a lot of hits this month and a few flops, but not too many, and I can't wait to talk about them with you all. So out of the 15 books I read, 5 of them were 5 stars. So I'm really pumped about that. I had a great time reading this month, and yeah, I found some ones that are just like perfect for Halloween, and some like nice surprises that I just did not anticipate being that good. And one of them was one I had never even heard of before, but I just like stumbled across it. So thrilled about that. But yeah, let's get into it. I'm gonna start from the worst to the best and go from there. Well, the worst book that I read this month, and it was 2.5 stars, and that is Graveyard Shift by M.L. Rio. I was really excited about this one. I think a lot of people were too. It's a little novella, and we are following a group of people who are in college, and they all kind of know each other because they go smoke, and there's like one area away from the school where they are all allowed to smoke at, and it's actually an old cemetery. It's the end of October, Halloween's coming up, and they're all out there smoking, and then they see this open grave. It's really strange because this area is not like really open to people anymore. It's like a historic site at the cemeteries behind a church, and it's not taken care of. It's just like sitting there and nothing can be done to it because it's a historical building. So, you know, new graves shouldn't be there at all. And they end up seeing something and someone strange putting things into this grave, and the book is them trying to figure out what is happening. I will say I really enjoyed it at the beginning. I was having a good time, and we do kind of get this reveal that I was like, oh, that's interesting, and I was a little bit shocked, and it was a bit darker than I anticipated it being. And then nothing happens. It's kind of weird because I've never had this happen with a book before, but it's like the book just ended, and there was no explanation, there was no resolution, we didn't see what ended up happening to everyone involved. And I wrote in my Goodreads review that I felt like I was one of the kids from Elf that were reading like the book about that duck and that was missing the last 2 pages. That's what I felt like, because I was like, this book is just unfinished, and I've never experienced that before. It was very strange and made me quite upset. So I feel like this is an idea for a novel, and then they were just like, I can't do it, and they put this out as a little novella and didn't finish it. It's very strange, and a big disappointment because it could have been really, really good if it was just fully fledged out. So yeah, a little bit of a bummer. On to the 3 stars, we have Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes. I have this in a reading vlog. A lot of these are in reading vlogs if you're interested. I read Dead Silence by this author and absolutely loved it. We have sci-fi horror here. We're following this woman who had some issues with her previous job and gets put on this new space station. And the station has kind of been abandoned. It's very mysterious, and we're kind of questioning what is happening here. Is there a haunting here? Is there something sinister going on? Is there aliens? But something seems to be going on with the people at the station. It's a very small group of them. It's very character driven, and there's not a ton of action, and I was really hoping for something scary, and we did not get that. And I didn't feel like it was very unique when it came to like space stories overall. I just didn't feel like I was getting what I wanted from it. Just a little bit underwhelmed. If you are someone that maybe doesn't love horror, this might be a good option for you, because I feel like the horror was just not really there. And aside from that, we have a lot of like internal monologues, kind of like cheesy relationship stuff as well that I was just getting tired of throughout. So wasn't my favorite. It was still fine. It was just fine. Next is a new release from Del Sandine called This Cursed House. I gave this one 3 stars. I was really excited about this one, and it just didn't quite hit. We're following this woman who gets this job offer at this plantation estate in New Orleans, and she kind of, you know, had rough times, and she thinks this is an amazing opportunity, and she goes, and we quickly learn that this house is haunted, and our girl can actually see spirits. And, you know, the family there is like, can you help us solve this curse? Like, people in our family keep dying. There's some curse going on with the hauntings, we don't know, and they're trying to solve it. When I picked this up, initially I was like, atmosphere is gonna be good. It's fall in New Orleans, we're on a huge haunted estate. Yes, sign me up. But the atmosphere is non-existent. Like, when we get to the house, I swear there's like 2 sentences that talk about the home. We get no descriptions of that atmosphere at all. Like, they even have like a cemetery on premises. We don't get any descriptions of what those places are like, and that bummed me out. I also just feel like the story overall was pretty standard, predictable. There were a few times where I was like, oh, we're taking some like shifts and turns that did surprise me, but in the end I was just kind of like, all right. I will say that I like that there is a lot of commentary on race and just like generational trauma as a whole. Our main character is Black, and she's going to work at a estate that is a plantation, and the commentary on race is really good. And just like the family drama within the family that lives in this home, pretty good. So yeah, I liked it, didn't love it. We're on to the 3.5 stars, and we have Chaos at the Lazy Bones Bookshop by Emmeline Duncan. This is a cozy mystery. Whenever I pick these up, I do not anticipate the writing to be good. I actually have such low expectations for the writing, so don't go into this thinking that the writing is going to be spectacular, because it's not. But essentially we have this town that's like Halloween town. Like, everything that they do is based around Halloween. There was a Halloween movie filmed there like 20 some odd years ago, and the town really just like went all in, and it's like, okay, we're like the Halloween place now. It's worked really well for the town. It's a super popular tourist destination, and we're following our main character who owns this really cute bookshop there. And there's also this TV show that is filming, like a ghost encounters kind of TV show filming there, and one of the crew members gets murdered, and we're trying to figure out what's going on, who is the murderer. You know, classic cozy mystery. Like I said, writing not great. So don't go into it with like high expectations about the plot or anything, but I will say that the twist, I did not call the twist. I did not know who the murderer was, so that's good. And as far as like me going into it, I wanted Halloween feels. I just wanted to pick up a book that was giving Halloween, and this does that. So I was totally happy with it, and I would recommend it for just like a mindless, kind of easy Halloween read. Next is a graphic novel called Witches. I gave this one 3.5 stars, and it's by, who is this by? It's by Scott Snyder. And this is a horror graphic novel, and I'm really trying to get more into graphic novels, and I thought this was pretty cool. We have this small town, and there seems to be some sort of weird legend, strange curse thing going on there, and people seem to get taken into the woods, and you can hear my animals right now, I'm sorry, my pets. But people get taken into the woods, and sometimes creatures tend to eat them. The issue that I had with this was, well, it wasn't as scary as I wanted it to be. It is definitely spooky. Some of the illustrations are spooky for sure. But as far as witches, like it's named Witches, we don't get witches. Like the bad people in this are like monster creatures. It's more of like a creature feature than witches. So be aware of that. So it was just different than what I anticipated, but I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. And if you're looking for like a spooky, scary graphic novel that you can read in one sitting, might as well. On to my 4 stars, I have another graphic novel called Full Shift by Jennifer Dugan and Kristen Seaton? I'm not sure. But this is a queer supernatural YA little graphic novel, and we're following this girl who is a werewolf, and her family is a pack of werewolves, and she is struggling because she can't fully shift. And it's really like her coming of age, trying to figure out who she is, struggling with friends and relationships. Through all this, there's a group of werewolf hunters on the prowl trying to track down her family's pack. So yeah, just like a coming of age, but she's a werewolf, and it's cute and it's cozy and wholesome, and I really liked it. The next 4-star is a mystery, and it's called A Grim Reaper's Guide to Catching a Killer. It's by Maxi Dara. This one surprised me. I thought this was gonna be kind of like Chaos at the Lazy Bones Bookshop, just like a cozy mystery. The writing wasn't gonna be good, kind of like a subpar plot. But no, this one was great. I really enjoyed the writing. I thought the story was great. And we're following this woman. She's in her 40s, and she is surprisingly pregnant. She accidentally got pregnant by her ex, her soon-to-be divorced husband, and she's just really struggling to make it through life, and she's just at this strange point in her life. And she's part of this group called Scythe, and they basically take people's souls after they die so that their souls can like pass on. And she has this assignment. She goes, the person's not there. My cat is doing something strange over there, but the person is not there. And essentially, if they don't, if their souls don't get crossed over by these employees by a certain time, then they turn into a ghost destined to haunt the earth. Her and this ghost are like really trying to solve what happened to him. It seems like he was murdered, and they're trying to solve the murder, and they're trying to figure out how to connect him so that his soul can pass over. It's quite good fun. The mystery was good. I didn't see it coming, and I really enjoyed it a lot. And I just really loved our main character and where she is in her life, and she felt very relatable. And yeah, I loved it. It's not horror, but I feel like it's a good spooky like fall anytime kind of read. Next is the new release from Rachel Harrison called So Thirsty. You know I love vampire books. I gave this one 4 stars. We have this woman who's making it through life. Her husband's kind of the worst. He's having affairs, and she's just like at this weird point, and she doesn't really know what to do. And her girlfriend end up going on this little retreat one weekend for her birthday, and they meet some men, and they end up going back to their house, and the men end up being vampires and our girls get turned. And it's kind of like them realizing, oh my gosh, we're vampires, what do we do? They don't know the rules, they're so thirsty, and they're just like trying to make it through life. They're really just like trying to figure out what to do and where to go from here. Was it the most unique vampire story I've ever read? No. It's good cozy horror, as Rachel Harrison usually writes. And near the end we got quite a bit of action, which I enjoyed. And I really just like the friendships between our 2 main girls. I like them a lot. It's simultaneously easy to read while also having a lot to say. So I appreciate that, and yeah, a good time. Next is a book of short stories called Craft by Nanda Lima. This one I gave 4 stars as well. This is a very divisive book, but we have this woman who had sex with the devil at a Halloween party in like 1999. And she has since like written some short stories and diary entries to him and letters to him since. Remy, get out of the cabinets. My cat is in the cabinets. I think that some people might go into this one thinking like the story's supposed to go together. It doesn't. There are some really interesting and unique stories in here that I was just like, wow, what a interesting take on things, and like a story I would have never thought of. Like there's one about a vending machine that I was like, oh, this is weird, and I like it. But yeah, it's just kind of like a weird, strange time. And even in my Goodreads review, I put, it doesn't make sense, but it works. So... And it's really not thriller or horror at all. Like I feel like it's kind of marketed wrong because I don't think it's horror, but it's more of just like a weird girl lit fic with like a little sprinkle of spooky stuff. And there's also some like really good commentary in here about race and class that I enjoyed. So yeah, I don't know, if you like weird girl lit fic, maybe pick it up and give it a try. On to my 4.5 stars. We have Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Cesare, or Caesar. I enjoyed this so much. This is a slasher, and we're following these teens in this small town full of really ignorant old people that will not come to the times, and they are being hunted down by this clown mascot that was the mascot of like this corn syrup factory. And I think they live in Kettle Springs, I think that is the name of the town, which is so funny, but it's so much fun. We have a really good slasher. There is a kind of like cozy farm town aspect to it that I really enjoyed. There's some really good commentary here that's kind of tongue-in-cheek, and I love it. And it has really good kills. Like the kills were so great, and I was just really shocked at how well written it was and how much I like the characters. And just for a slasher, for it to like really keep my attention and, you know, keep me guessing, that doesn't happen all that often. So I really loved it. And if you're looking for a new slasher, maybe pick it up. It is YA. I don't think it felt YA. So yeah, I just really enjoyed it a lot. I think the writing's great. There are 2 more books in this trilogy, so I will most definitely be reading them at some point. The next 4.5 star is The Bellwoods Game by Celia Crampian. I ended up loving this. This is a middle grade horror, and we are following these kids as they play this like annual game in the woods. There's a game where they run to this bell that is in the woods. They have to ring it, and if they don't, then the town is haunted by this ghost girl named Abigail, I think. And our main character, we're following her, and she is, you know, kind of struggling with her friends, and she is chosen to play this game. Only 3 of the kids in 6th grade get to play it, and it's like them going into the woods playing this game, and there is something sinister out there after them. And I was really shocked at how spooky and creepy it ends up being, and a lot of most of this book is them actually playing this game, and I loved it. I really love the atmosphere. It's Halloween. It starts off, you know, they're at school in their costumes, and they're in these woods that are really spooky, and there's like this bell in the middle of the woods for some reason, and just the story with the spirits and the ghost like supernatural element to it was so good. It has a few cheesy parts. It is middle grade, but I was okay with that. I thought the writing was fantastic. I really just loved how it gave like this hocus pocusy, like whimsical Halloween feel that I do look for every spooky season. And yeah, I highly recommend it. A very solid Halloween read. On to my 5 stars. I have 4. And first up, I have A Dark and Secret Magic by Wallace Kinney. What a nice surprise. I thought this one was gonna be another like cheesy Halloween like cozy book, and it's not. It's definitely pretty dark and spooky. We're following this hedge witch, and it's just like she likes to live in her cottage and be alone, and she just keeps to herself. It's Halloween time, and something happens to where she actually has to host her coven's Halloween party or Samhain party. And apart from that, a man from her past shows up on her doorstep asking for help. We really find out that there is something dark and sinister happening, and some truth about our girl, her coven, and her family that she did not know about, and she's really discovering herself in the truth of her and her magic and her power. I loved it for like the fall Halloween witchy atmosphere. Absolutely phenomenal. I loved the atmosphere so much, and it has really good like food talk. Like our girl is really good at cooking, and she'll talk through the recipes, and they have like spooky like spell recipes where it's like, I remember one was like a ghost be gone gin and tonic and chill out chili, and just like really cute cozy aspects to it while also being like dark and having dark magic. And in my Goodreads review, I was like, we have pumpkin carving, dark magic, fall festivals, cozy food talk, a cute cat, and a coven full of secrets. And yeah, it had everything I could want for a fall Halloween read, and I loved it so much. Highly recommend, just even for the atmosphere alone. So good. My next 5 star is Malicia by Steven Dos Santos. This is a YA horror, and we are following these kids as they go to this abandoned amusement park, and it's a horror themed amusement park, and they're going there to kind of film this documentary for school. But come to find out, they are all there for different reasons, and it seems like there is a malignant spirit or something really scary happening on this island, because on this island 13 years prior there was a massacre where hundreds of people died. I ended up loving this. This is like all over the place. It's chaotic. There's tons of stuff going on. We're going in a lot of different directions here. And it worked for me. I loved that about it, and I also just love the atmosphere so much. Like, we're at this horror themed amusement park. It's so perfect because I want this amusement park to be real. Like, we have an area for serial killers and an area for monsters, and just, it's so cool like reading them walk through these different areas and discuss them. I just love that so much. And I was on the edge of my seat. Like, people start dying like early on, and I really had no idea what the heck was gonna happen. So I had so much fun and I loved it. So yeah, it's also based during Halloween weekend, so you know, why not? My next 5-star is Ein Hollow by Tim McGregor. I loved this. So this is a Frankenstein retelling, and we are on this secluded island of Ein Hollow, and it's back, I want to say 1400s, a long time ago, many centuries ago, and there's only a few families that live on this island, and one day this man shows up and he is going to take over and live in this cottage that's abandoned, that's rumored to be haunted. He's very mysterious, and turns out it is Frankenstein. And our main character, she is, you know, she has a family. She's just making it through life. Her husband is literally the worst person ever, and she's just being a mom and living, not loving life. And she becomes interested in this doctor, and things start to go down. They start to see things, a large creature at night walking around. And yeah, it's very good. It's a cozy, like, feminist and atmospheric horror, and I loved it so much. And you know, it does end up being sad. It's very like claustrophobic because of this island. They can't go anywhere, and it's like dreary, eerie. It's in Ireland, I believe. Our main character, Agnes, is such an amazing character, and I loved her from the start. And she's really like just strong-willed and caring, and you know, wants to take care of her family and herself too. And yeah, this little village is literally held together by women, and they don't get the recognition they deserve. And when things start to go down, they definitely start to go down, and it gets a little bit wilder than I anticipated. And I love the ending. It's sad, tragic, like most Frankenstein stories are, but I highly recommend it. I enjoyed it so much. I also learned that Ein Hollow is a real place. It is a real island, and you can only go and do a tour of it one day a year. And I'm like, that's so cool. So I'm like, I want to go. But yeah, an awesome little feminist horror read. My next and final 5-star is We Kept Her in the Cellar by W.R. Gorman. And this one, what a nice surprise. I was looking for books to read while I was at Disney, and I stumbled across this. I believe it is a new release, and it's a Cinderella retelling, and oh my gosh, it's so good. It is dark, it is horror. The horror is there. I did not anticipate how wild this was gonna get, but this was so fascinating to me from start to finish. We start out, we're actually following one of the evil stepsisters' POVs, which I thought was so interesting, and I appreciated that a lot. And we're kind of hearing just a new take on Cinderella and who she is and what she's like and what she's capable of. And I don't want to give anything away, because when I tell you, when I started reading this, I was shocked, because it does come out pretty early on, kind of like what is happening, but oh my gosh, loved it so much. If you're looking for like a dark horror, like gory, like the body horror is here. Like, this has so much body horror, and you know, like maybe the evil stepsisters aren't the bad ones here. And it has so much character development, and like I said, the body horror, great. And I just like loved every second of it. Like, I was really grossed out and squirming at times because of, you know, some of these scenes, and it's intense. So if you really like gory, gross, weird horror and like a dark kind of fantasy thing too, pick it up. I loved it. I thought it was amazing, and it's just like a really cool twist on, you know, the classic story, and like making it into a horror read. It was so good. So please pick it up. It's fantastic. Just like, I was hooked from beginning to end. I think I read it in one day. So phenomenal. And I can't recommend it enough. All right, friends, that was all of my reads for October. I had a really great month. I didn't really have many flops, only one flop. I had a few books that were just okay, but overall a really fantastic time. And 4 5-star reads, yes. So happy. An amazing Halloween reading season, and I get so excited for it every year, and I'm really glad the books were hitting this year, because I had quite a few flops last year for like the Halloween themed books, and the books like actually set during Halloween that I read this year were awesome. I had a really great time. So yay. And I'm excited to see the rest of the year, how it all goes. But thank you so much for being here. If you read any of these, let me know. I also have many of these in reading vlogs where I chit chat about them and go more in depth with my review and my thoughts, and just show myself bopping around and piddling around town from day to day. But if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. That helps me a lot. If you like bookish content, please subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, and I hope you have an amazing spooky rest of your day.